No deal. That is what the majority of news reports on a midday Thursday afternoon say about your second stimulus check and second stimulus package. $600 proposal for a stimulus check? No deal, says the majority of the reports. One report says there is a deal, but the vast majority say no. No, not happening, no. Meantime, Josh Hawley, as viewers sometimes say, Josh who? Josh Hawley, the champion for the second stimulus check, the Republican out of Missouri, is not caving into Mitch McConnell at all. Mitch McConnell apparently is worried he's going to lose 2 Senate seats in Georgia unless the stimulus check goes out, and that's why he wants a $600 stimulus check. Not so, says Josh Hawley. He wants a $1,200 stimulus check and is calling for a vote tomorrow, and up and down. So no one's caving into Mitch, no one's making an agreement, and no one's doing much of anything except Bernie Sanders, who's folding like a lawn chair. I'm here, you're here, we're going to get through this together. Meantime, what are they doing to FPUC? Just move away from the fine china in the room, because you're going to start you're going to start breaking things by the minute when you hear the debacle about what they're going to do with FPUC. Meantime, I continue to give viewers big money across the board, and today I'll be going over more of that big money right now. And then what about $2,400 for SSI and SSDI? And how about multiple stimulus checks? And what's Joe Biden promising for January? And is now the real pressure on Joe Biden to deliver despite the promises and the narratives? I have all this and more. It's a good afternoon. I'm so glad you're here. Let's get to it. This is a massive recording of Afternoons LALATE. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It's Afternoons LALATE. I'm so glad you joined me in a day in which things are still breaking across the board. But the narrative has become a little bit skewed and confusing because some broadcast news reports are just certainly wrong. The vast majority of the stories out today from broadcast news says no deal. There is no deal, and they're running out of time, and they're likely going to have to do an extension of the congressional budget bill because they have no deal. So what does that mean, and what is Bernie Sanders doing, and what is Josh doing? Please subscribe, because no one's fighting tooth and nail to get you this money. No one's fighting to ensure that you get money from cities and states and counties right now. Not 5 days from now, not 5 weeks from now. Ultimately, the stimulus check in Congress is one item. So are state stimulus checks. But I'm fighting to get you $5, $10, $15, $20,000 from cities and states across the country. And that's where the big money is. I keep you on point and focus on getting where the big money is. And this recording, I'm going to go over that right away after I cover what's happening with Congress. Meantime, also like this video. It really helps with the algorithm. Subscribe, hit the alert button so you don't miss a video when I go live, and then also like this video. In this video, I'll be going over what Bernie Sanders said minutes ago. Is Bernie Sanders folding like a lawn chair? Then I'll be going over what Josh Hawley is going to be doing tomorrow. But is that enough? Then I'll be going over why the last week everything has changed very quickly. Meantime, where are we really on these negotiations? Is there a deal amount? How much is the deal amount? And then I'll be turning to Joe Biden and his promises for what he's going to give you shortly thereafter. What are they? How are they? How are they going to formulate? And what are they? Meantime, I'll be turning back to the states. That big money you can get from the states across the country. I don't care what state you're in. I don't care if you think the state has nothing. It has something. Whether it's California or Kentucky, the hardest states to get things, their stuff. And I'll go over that as well. With that, let's get to the breaking news. The breaking news as you sit here today is that there is no deal still. Hashtag Senate vote no. Hashtag House vote no. Take this video and tag it on Twitter and tag all the leading people involved. More about who to tag in a second with those hashtags. Last night, this channel was trending #1 in the United States for hashtag Senate vote no. As millions of viewers were saying, you know what the hell is $600? It's disgraceful, it's despicable, it's inhumane, it's a slap in the face. Your comments were absolutely incredible. So what happened today? Well, one Democrat appeared on broadcast news and said, the reason why there's a $600 stimulus check is we took money away from the people on unemployment. Not true. Not true. So then Bernie Sanders appeared on Katie Tur, and she asked him, why did you take money away from people on unemployment to give them a stimulus check? Bernie said, not true. Then she asked the question again. He said, I already answered the question. It's untrue. Then she did it again. He said, for the third time, it didn't happen. So where did they get this money from and what's going on? The stimulus check money that is in the continuing budget bill came from the removal of state and local. State and local is about $300 billion. They removed the $300 billion of state and local, and they put in a stimulus check. They didn't put a $300 billion stimulus check of $1,200 in there. They put less. That allowed for extra leeway. So then what did they do? Well, they were trying to tell broadcast news, which is absolutely categorically untrue, that they took money from FPUC in the future to pay for the stimulus check. All untrue. What's important to understand is that millions of Americans are hungry, without rent, ability to pay rent, and unable to pay for medicine. Bernie Sanders said that on the broadcast news channel, but he also said, well, this is what you got, $600. Wait a second. Is Bernie folding like a lawn chair? He is. Bernie Sanders a week ago said that he would give a 1-week extension for the continuing resolution bill to Mitch McConnell on the proviso, on the contingency that when you come back with this next week, there better be $1,200 stimulus check in there or more. He did that in a way by sort of aligning himself with Josh Hawley, who had first championed the $1,200 stimulus check with the support of the President of the United States, Donald Trump, and saying it has to be $1,200 for adults, $500 for children, and at least that or more. He spoke with the president, who wanted to go to $2,000 for stimulus check. He put it to the floor for a bill. The bill is still on the Senate floor. And now Josh Hawley, minutes ago, tweeted that he's going to call for an up or down vote tomorrow. That's good. But is it enough? No, it's not enough. What Josh and Bernie had promised last week was that when anything lands in the Senate from the House, despite how bad it is, despite how horrible it is, despite how illogical the bill is, that they were going to block it and call off a vote for Josh's bill, and call for a down vote and a rejection of any bad bill from the House if it doesn't have a $1,200 stimulus check in there. They made it very clear. I read the quote. I got the quote in my hand. I don't need to read it again. That was what they said. Bernie Sanders is no longer holding that position. Also folding are House progressives. House progressive had urged for a stimulus check to be in the bill, and now when a measly $600 amount is in there, they're going silent. The House progressives, which is the account of Twitter at House US Progressives, are literally going silent. Meantime, broadcast news are not helping you either, because broadcast news reporters are trying to make the stimulus check battle as though it's a progressive Democrat fight. Excuse me? What does the stimulus check have to do with parties, political parties? It has nothing to do with political parties. That's why you have Josh and Bernie, an independent and Republican. But broadcast news today was trying to make it look like the progressive wing of the Democrat Party wants a stimulus check and no one else wants it. Okay, so we're taking it from all different angles on today. So where are we? Hashtag Senate vote no. Hashtag House vote no. Go on Twitter and tag McConnell. Tag his communications director, tag his press secretary. Why? The message you need to make loud and clear to him is you want to lose those Senate seats. The easiest way to lose those 2 Georgia Senate seats on January 5th is to send out a measly $600 stimulus check. In a conference call on Wednesday, Mitch McConnell was overheard saying that he needs to send out a stimulus check or he's going to lose the Senate seats in Georgia and lose the Senate to the Democrats. Well, the best way to put fear in Mitch's eyes is to assure him that millions of Americans will vote against those 2 Georgia Senate seats if you send out a measly $600 stimulus check. Get ready for a horrible situation for you, Mitch, if you dare do something so horrible as a $600 stimulus check. Now, who are your supporters? Well, Elizabeth Warren, AOC, and the Democrats in the House that have been talking about the second stimulus check for the last few days have not said much in the last 24 hours. Today and tomorrow are the big days. Those are the big days in which you want these people to step up and say something. What will happen today? Well, let me explain where we are right now. There is a proposal. The proposal for the amount of the stimulus check is all over the place. You have a proposal of $1,200. You have a proposal of $600. You have a proposal of $700. You have several proposals. There's no agreement. After agreement, then they write the bill. They're apparently writing the bill, but they still don't have an agreement. Then after they write the bill, they put it to the House to a vote with Nancy Pelosi. Now, in the past, Nancy Pelosi has put things to a vote in the House when there was no agreement. She may do that again. Be prepared for that. But after it goes to the House for a vote and is presumably passed, then it goes to the Senate. If Bernie and Josh do what they promised to millions of Americans last week, I read the quote, it's as obvious as butter buttering and toast toasting, then you were supposed to say, you know what, there's no $1,200 stimulus check, we're voting against it. Now Bernie is talking about how $600 is a down payment. A down payment on what? It's a down payment that Joe's going to take care of you after that. Joe has still never written a single piece of paper that delineates how many stimulus checks you're going to get, what months they're going to come, how many months they're going to be, what's the value. Hasn't told you anything. A down payment for a ghost? What's a down payment for air in the room? What is a down payment for? It's not a down payment for anything that's owed to you because no one's promising to owe you anything. The language of this down payment just makes me, every time I hear it. Now, FPUC is the real debacle of the second stimulus package. The debacle is that they currently are somewhere between 16 weeks or 13 or 11 weeks of FPUC $300 a week going forward. Yeah, going forward. They've gotten rid of retroactive. Yeah, they're not paying retroactive. Yeah, they don't want to pay you the 30 weeks retroactive FPUC that you had not received since July. So if you're evicted and you can't pay rent, you can't pay utilities, you can't pay food, what are they going to do? We'll take care of you in April next year. Is that great? No. Who thinks that's great? Meantime, there's another round of PPP. There's still $800 billion of PPP sitting at SBA that can repurpose as a stimulus check of $5,000. In fact, it could be repurposed as another round of PPP. It's PPP. It can be repurposed as PPP. And you know why it needs to be, you know why it was never repurposed, or you know why it was never used? Because no one wanted it. So this time around, they're doing more PPP for businesses that have had 3, 4, 5 rounds of PPP. They never used it last time. They didn't want it then. So why are you doing it again? Let's turn to $2,400. $2,400 SSI and SSDI, Social Security and Railroad benefits, yes. So Joe Biden is promising a lot. The question is whether his promise is going to come true. Viewers are starting to be sort of cynical of the situation from these elected officials because they keep on saying things and we don't see them. We're being told about this massive bill in January, that January is going to be stimulus month. Stimulus here and stimulus there. The question is whether people are going to really do what they're saying they're going to do after this week in which Bernie Sanders can't keep a story straight for 4 days. And Elizabeth Warren has gone silent. AOC has gone silent. It's like you say something for a day and then you disappear for the rest of the week or the rest of the month. So Joe Biden is promising $2,400 for SSI and SSDI. That's $200 a month starting in January all the way up to December. Ultimately, I got to keep on reminding you, this is what is being promised. I could just see the comment being typed. It's promised. I don't believe it. Yeah, well, I got to keep on repeating that it is a promise. And it would have a new benchmark. The benchmark would be different than COLA, so you would have a step up every year as cost of goods go up, and you would have a lifetime increase one time of up to 20%. That's all really good news. Joe Biden is promising multiple stimulus checks in January. Multiple stimulus checks, how many months, what's the value of the check? Won't tell you. This is a down payment for something that he's going to take care of that he's not really telling you about. Then how about all the other things? Well, states have actually done God's work this last few weeks. States, cities, and counties are paying 4 to 5 different types of stimulus. And so let me go over them right now. There is state stimulus checks, there's rent stimulus, there's food stimulus, and there's utility stimulus. And ultimately, when I talk about the 4 stimuluses, I always tell viewers, don't focus on the stimulus check, the state stimulus check. The state stimulus checks are generally not a lot of money. They can be as low as a few $100s. In some cases, the state stimulus checks have been issued. In some states, the state stimulus checks don't qualify for everyone. But the big money is the rent stimulus. It's a lot of money. Why would you not want a lot of money? $5, $10, $15, $20,000. I mean, I've never seen a rent stimulus that's less than a couple $1,000s. I don't see rent stimuluses of $300. I've had people that had rent every month of $800, and they're getting rent stimulus based upon $800 a month. And so this is what's incredible great news, is that this money is there. Go get it. It's not going to be there indefinitely. So state stimulus checks that have been issued, will be issued, or could be issued so far have been Maine $600, Colorado $375, New Mexico $1,200, Oregon $500, North Carolina $335, Houston $1,200, Austin $2,000, Orange went live this morning again with another $1,000, Jacksonville $1,000, and Orange did $1,200 two times before. Also, Nome, Alaska has something. Pending is Escambia County, Fort Worth, Texas, Gadsden County, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, Connecticut, Massachusetts, New York, New Jersey, Virginia, Delaware. But the big news is the rent stimulus. How do you get this rent stimulus, and where is it? So the rent stimulus comes in a couple of different locations. It'll start with your city hall, your county hall, your county housing authority, your state housing authority. And you want to look for rent assistance because of COVID. Call them up, say, hi, do you have any rent assistance because of COVID? Ultimately, if you call up one agency, get a no, doesn't mean there's nothing. And if you call in one place, doesn't mean it's nothing. You may just be calling in the wrong place. Sometimes they separate these things in a way that I'm just sort of surprised about. For example, some viewers always say there's no rent assistance from the state of California. That's generally correct. But how about your counties? Well, someone found rent assistance in San Bernardino County. How? From the county itself? No, from the San Bernardino County Housing Authority. The who? I didn't know there was such an organization. Yeah, so a lot of these cities and counties have very strange setups. That has happened in Alabama. Viewers have gotten rent in the Alabama Housing Authority. What's the Alabama Housing Authority? Just go get it. Mississippi Rent Eviction Diversion Department of the Housing Authority. What is that? I did not know that organization exists. Ultimately, the money is there. If you're in one of those, and Kentucky, for example, viewers are saying there's nothing in Kentucky. Kentucky announced a rent program just a few days ago to ensure that you're not evicted. And also it covers utilities. What's important to understand is that when you're looking at all this money, if you get into a block wall and you can't get past it and you don't see anything there, then you go to the nonprofits. The nonprofits are doing God's work. In the video right after this purple, I'll be going over the nonprofits that are paying rent for viewers. They're also paying utilities. They're also paying for food, and they're also paying for holiday gifts. Next, escalated benefits. You need to get escalated benefits because escalated benefits are there if you qualify, and they're not going to be around much longer. They're not going to be as easy to get, I should say, in a couple of weeks. Why? Because government offices are going to start to have less people in the office or less people on remote access because of COVID. 2, you got the holiday season. 3, just things are slowing down over the holiday season. So what you want to do is pull your 2019 tax return, see if you qualify for additional benefits. If you made $30,000 or more in 2019, or that's the big whammo. You got to go for this. But if you made $18,000 or more 2019, this will help you. Anything $18,000 or more. If you've been unemployed for 30-something weeks, this will actually give you a lot more money than what the Congress is trying to do this week. Let me explain why. If you made $18,000 or more in 2019, you'll likely be able to raise your benefits about $50 a week, which will give you about $1,500, bam, right in your account right now. If you made over $25,000 2019, you'll be able to raise your benefits about $100 a week, which is about $3,000, bam, right in your account right now. And if you made over $30,000 2019, you'll be able to raise your benefits about $300 a week. That's about $10,000, bam, right in your account. Nothing on this channel talks about anything about $10,000 with the exception of rent. And nothing when we're talking about Congress gives you anything close to $10,000. So how do you do it? You just basically write your state unemployment office a letter, say, hi, do I qualify for escalated benefits? Here's my 2019 tax return. Please take a look at it. Thank you. And you send it off, and there you go. Ask them if you qualify for additional weeks of benefits, higher weekly benefits. Don't use complicated words. Make the words simple. Next, how about EIDL? I want you to get EIDL because ultimately EIDL is there for you if you're an independent contractor, sole practitioner, or gig worker. The money is there because SBA has an incredible turnaround time, about 3 days, once you apply and you get approved. The money will not be there indefinitely. And what's important is this is the only debt instrument that I cover on this channel, but there's no debt repayment for the first year. And so it's like a safety net. Imagine getting $5,000 and then if you really don't want it after a year, you give it back. It doesn't cost you a penny. It's all really good. Finally, when you're sitting back and you're sitting in a state, let's say like Ohio, and you're like, I can't find anything, and that Congress is not sending me a stimulus check, I don't see a state stimulus check, what do? You go to the community page. If you've looked and you can't find anything, you go to the community page, which is news.lalate.com. It's in the pin up in the corner to this video if you're watching on a computer, or in the pinned comment to the sticky comment to this video. Community page is at news.lalate.com. You go there and reach out to a volunteer. They'll help you find rent, food, and utilities where you live. It's money that's there to help you. We're here to help you. We're sure to get you this money. On the video right after this purple, I'll be going over more about this CARES Act 1 money. I'll be going over more about what Congress is and isn't doing for grants, free money, now and in the January. More about the $2,400 for SSI and SSDI. And then right after that, I go back live with Being a Mitch. On Being a Mitch, I'll be covering your UI, PUA, and FPUC questions. But more importantly, I'll give you the first live broadcast update of the afternoon since midday's recording. As always, stay informed, stay smiling, stay focused, and stay LALATE for more.